Hello, minasan. It's Hisako. I hope you're having a wonderful day or evening wherever you are. As you can see, it is daytime here in Houston, so at the time of making this video, it's the afternoon. Today I wanted to do a quick video to show a tutorial of how I dress in yukata, including with my pre-tied tsukuriobi. Yukata are absolutely one of my favorite kimono that I have in my wardrobe. I have a ton of kimono, all different kinds, but I would still rank yukata as my favorite kimonos of all time, just because they're super comfortable, they're very easy to dress in, they're very affordable, they're made of cotton, so they are washable, which is super great, and they come in all kinds of different styles, and you can make them as casual or as dressed up as you want. There are ways to make yukata look a little bit more formal and elegant versus a little bit more casual, depending on the style of what you're wearing. But I really love wearing them. They are my favorite thing in my kimono wardrobe. The very first kimono I ever purchased in my life was a yukata when I was in Japan as an exchange student when I was 14 years old. And that was like a super cool thing. I do have it somewhere in storage. I'll have to find it. I still have it. It's a little beat up from just years of wearing it, but I do still have it somewhere. But since then, I kind of tend to do more like simple, like navy blue, white, simpler designs and colors now that I'm older. But my very first one was a bright turquoise. It was very bright and vivid. But yes, I just wanted to kind of showcase a little bit about wearing yukata, as well as just the tips and tricks that I do to make getting ready easy. Traditionally, yukata would be worn in the warmer months. It's not something you would generally wear in winter, but like I have stated previously or further on in the video, I do live in a warm climate, so I do tend to wear these even throughout the winter because we do still have 80-degree days here in Houston during that time. So with that, let's go ahead and get started, and I will show you how I do my yukata and my process for an easy kitsuke. Okay, so we are in what would be my undergarments that I do for my yukata. There's a couple of different things that you can do. I do a little bit more of a casual, I guess less formal version of the undergarments, since I consider yukata more casual. But to kind of go over what you could use if you wanted to be a little more traditional. Traditionally, under your yukata, you would use what we call a harajuban, which would be one of these things. It's like a little slip. It's usually got some little ties on it. I got these ones in the back. This is made of cotton and polyester at the bottom. This is traditionally what I wear under all of my kimono, like komon, homongi, tsukesage, all of my kimono I wear this under. I generally don't do this for yukata because it can get a little warm, so I prefer to use this for my kimono, but you can use this for yukata if you're trying to be a little more traditional, or if you want to be like a little more warm, since it does have the sleeves on it. But this is traditionally your harajuban you would wear. But if you don't have a harajuban, or you want to be more casual like I'm doing, I actually use this inexpensive slip from Amazon coupled with a sweat guard protector. I'll pull up some of those items here in a sec, as well as I've got my padding for my obi, which will be coming up toward the end. So traditionally, what I like to use are these slips. I'll show you one that I have here. They're just these inexpensive slips on Amazon. They're very lightweight and breathable. I really love these for wearing under my yukata. You can also wear these under your kimono as well. If you don't want to do the traditional harajuban, this will work as well. It's very lightweight and adds a nice layer between you and the nagajuban, so that you don't get like skin to fabric content, so that you can preserve the fabric better. As well as I have my sweat guard, which kind of looks like one of these things. Kind of like looks like a little crop top sort of. These have padding in here that help with sweat in the armpit area. I do sweat a lot. I live in Houston, so it gets very hot. So something like this I wear under all of my kimono, including with my harajuban. Whether I'm doing this or the traditional style, I always wear one of these sweat guards under here just to prevent any kind of sweat in the armpit area so I don't damage the kimono. These are also on Amazon, super cheap to get some of those. As well as I've got my padding, which is to help also collect sweat, as well as add some padding in the middle to kind of fill out the obi area and gives it like a little bit more of a nice, I guess, lay to it. Traditionally, I do use these Japanese hand towels. I layer 2 of them that I put over each other, basically like this. And then I wrap them around my waist. And I use this elastic kind of like summer datajime, which would normally be used for yukata as well, but I use this for holding my towels in place, so that way everything's in place and it adds that nice padding, as well as helps collect the sweat. And I also have my tabi socks that I wear with my yukata. I like to do that a lot because my feet get cold. Traditionally with yukata, you do not need to wear socks, but if you do, you traditionally should choose lightweight ones, like a light stretchy cotton, or I see lace socks are very popular as well. I don't really wear lace because I have cats and they damage things, so I just do these inexpensive stretchy ones from Amazon. They're very thin, they're very lightweight and breathable. These are really great for me to wear with my yukata when I want a more, I guess, upscale look, but they also keep my feet warm since I do tend to get cold feet quite a bit. So those are some of the basics that I like to use for my undergarments for our yukata. So let's get into the parts that you would need for your yukata to get started. So there's a few things that you would need to do for a really simple, clean kitsuke for your yukata. You don't have to have everything here. These are just the parts that I use that help make it easy and give like a nice form to it. One of the things that you traditionally would not do with yukata is have the collar or the nagajuban that you would traditionally wear under traditional kimono. Yukata are meant to be more casual and lightweight, so it is just the yukata, so you do not need to do the nagajuban underneath. But if you want to make it look a little more formal, you can use, sometimes I use these fake collars where it's just the collar part with like the thing in the back that kind of helps pull it back. This is just a simple collar with the edishin in there that gives it that stiffness. So it's not a full nagajuban, it's just the collar. I don't usually do this with my yukata because, again, it's supposed to be a more comfortable casual look, but if you're wanting to make it feel a bit more like a kimono or make it look a bit more formal, in addition to doing tabi socks, you can put one of these collars on. I like these because it's just the collar, and so you can still have that breathability underneath without having the multiple layers. So this is optional, but you do not need to have this for yukata. The other items that you're going to want to have are a couple of these things here. We have our datajime. You're going to need this to help secure the yukata as well as flatten that area before we start doing the parts for the obi. So I got this one on Etsy, I believe. This is a pretty inexpensive one, but you will need a datajime. You will also need an obi-ita, which is one of these little flat boards. This is going to go over the datajime in the front to help add that stiffness so it flattens out the obi when we go to do that part. This one has like a little clip on it, like the right here. I prefer these kind because they're a little easier to do, but you can buy the kind that do not have the straps on them and you just kind of tuck it into like the first layer of the obi. But I do find these to be a bit easier just because it's held in place for you. But that's just my opinion. You can do whichever one you want. You will also need 2 koshihimo belts, and this is for securing the yukata, the first steps that we do before we start doing all the other stuff. You will need at least 2 of these for the first part, and then when we do the fold, which is I think the ohashori, you're going to need the second one of these. So you will need 2 koshihimo belts for that. And with that, I believe we're ready to get started. So once you have your undergarments on, you're all ready to get dressed, we're going to go ahead and start with our yukata. I am not going to be using the collar for this because, again, I prefer to not use collars with my yukata because I like a more comfortable casual look. That's the whole point of me wearing one. But you can add the collar at this point if you want to. In this case, I will not be doing that. As you can see, this is a single layer cotton kimono. Yukata are very casual, very thin. These are something that you would wear traditionally in the summertime, to festivals, around the house. Any kind of casual, calm, sort of relaxing environment would call for a yukata, but particularly the summer months. You would not really see people wearing these in the winter as they are too thin for the winter, so you will get cold. However, I live in Houston where it's warm most of the year, so I actually will still wear these even in the winter because we still get 80-degree days here. So I still actually wear these in the winter even here. But if you live in a climate that is not like Houston, then you would not want to wear this in the wintertime. But first we're going to go ahead and put the yukata on. And we're just going to slip our arms in like this. And then we want to make sure that we're lining up the parts right here in the front where you can see like these little ends on the collar. You want to make sure that those are even. And we're going to work on the first part before we start doing the fold and adjusting the collar. We're just getting the length on the bottom. So you're going to want to pick the yukata up here by the sides. You'll see there's kind of some seams that you can kind of see a little bit here. There's one on each side. You want to be in the middle of those seams. So you want to center it and kind of grab the yukata like this and pull up. And you want to make sure it hits just at the ankles. It's a little hard to see on my camera, but you can kind of see we're hitting just at the ankles. And then we're going to do left over right. You always want to do left over right because right over left is only reserved for funerals and the deceased. So always do left over right. So we're going to start here. And we're just going to bring it over and kind of tuck in. And then once we think we have that good, you're going to kind of use your elbow to sort of kind of push in here. And we're going to wrap the other side around. And make sure you're holding everything in place since we haven't secured this yet. I like to kind of go through and just make sure all the fabric underneath is flattened. Have this a little high up, so I'm just going to kind of bring it down just a little bit. Sometimes I do wear my yukata a little bit higher than ankle length, especially if I'm going out and I'm worried about, like, I don't want anything to touch the ground or get dirty. Sometimes I'll wear my yukata just a little bit shorter just to prevent things from touching it. But you don't have to do that. I just do that because I don't want it to get dirty. But yukata are made of cotton, so they are washable. So once we have that in place, make sure all of our fabric is not stuck underneath here. We're going to grab our first koshihimo belt. Got this one right here. Unroll it. And keep your elbows kind of like tucked in to kind of hold everything in place here while we do this. We're going to come in like this. Go around and watch your sleeves. And we're going to tie it like this in the back. We're going to come like this. Hope you can see. Okay, cool. And then kind of like this, we're going to pull. So you can kind of tighten it a little bit. You do not need to over tighten it. If you feel like it's too tight and you can't breathe, then it's too tight. So traditionally, I do see kimono worn pretty snugly, but I kind of tie mine just a little bit looser, just a tiny bit so I can breathe. Once we have this wrapped around, we're going to do this first tie like this, and then we're going to do it in a little bow, just like how you would normally tie like a robe shut. So we're going to tie this little bow like this, and then we're going to take these ends and we're going to tuck them into the band like this, because we don't want these to be hanging out underneath, so we want these all tucked in here. So next part we're going to work on is getting that fold or the ohashoni. So you can see there's a lot of fabric going on up here. We're going to fix this. So as you can see with the yukata, there's like these spaces in the armpit area here. You're going to take your hand and kind of put it in on both sides like this, and start like where your hands are, start coming down like this in the back too, so we can start getting all that fabric smoothed out. And make sure you've got everything smoothed out. No folds or anything, no wrinkles, no fabric that's stuck. And then once we've done that, we can start working on our collar a little bit. So traditionally with kimono, you do want to leave a little bit of a gap in the back of the neck. Traditionally, I think it's supposed to be about a 3 to 4 finger length, but you can do it a little bit deeper or a little bit closer to the neck depending on what you prefer. I try to do like a 3 to 4 finger length, but you don't want it to be like all the way up here. That's too close to the neck. You do want there to be some gap there. So we're going to take this and kind of bring this in because we want it to be closer up here. I do see some people sometimes, if they're being really casual, the yukata is a little more open in the front. It's a little less modest. Traditionally, I like to wear mine a little closer to the neck because I'm a little more modest, but it is up to you. It is whatever you feel like doing. But I'm gonna keep it closer here, and then in the back, I'm just gonna gently find that seam. I'm just gonna gently pull down a little bit because we wanna get some of that dip in the back, as you can see. So we're gonna pull just a little bit to make sure we have that nice dip in the back. And I have seen some people where they will, on the seams here, where there's like the collar, right here, there's a little kind of pocket. It's sewn shut, but if you want, you can kind of take a seam ripper and gently take the seam out, and you can put an eri shin, like the stiffener in here to help give a more stiff collar so that it has more of that nice loop. You don't have to do that. I don't, because again, I'm being casual and comfortable. That's the whole point of wearing yukata. But if you want a cleaner look, you can undo that seam and put an eri shin in here, but it is not necessary. But once we have our collar in place and everything is kind of secured shut, we're going to go ahead and do our second koshihimo. So I'm going to pull this out. And same thing as we did before. We're going to come around like this, wrap, and then, I don't know if you can see with my sleeves in the way, like this, come around, pull, and then same thing as we did before, we're going to tie this in a bow, and then we're going to tuck those ends into our koshihimo. Because again, we don't want these hanging out. Just like that. So the next thing we're gonna do is kind of smooth out some of the bunched up fabric that we have here and kind of readjust our collar again. So as you can see in the back, we can see this is pretty scrunchy, right? So we wanna try and smooth that out. So in the front, most of it's pretty smooth. But in the back, what I like to do is kind of take like my thumb and my index finger or middle fingers, kind of push them up under the koshihimo like this, and then kind of start pulling this way to start pulling that excess fabric toward the armpit area. Because we want to try and smooth out that back, right? And you can kind of pull on this flap here that you've created, pull down a little bit too. So that way we can maintain that collar in the back. But we're just going to keep smoothing that out till we have it probably as flat as we're going to get it. It does not need to be perfect. It is a yukata and it is casual, but try to get it as smooth as you can. Just like that. Cool. And then in the front, that should all be smooth. So now we have this smoothed out all the way around. So next step is going to be our datajime, which is going to help flatten out this area here. So this is the datajime that I'm going to use. As you can see, it has kind of a thicker area here and then more of this like kind of not stiff fabric. There's like a kind of sort of thick foam insert in here. This is the part we're going to have in the front. We're going to use these to sort of tie it around. So we're going to take it and center it right where that crease is. We're gonna put it like this, wrap around, and then same thing as before. We're gonna take our belts, put them over like this, come around, pull. Not too tight, don't make it so you can't breathe. And then we're not gonna actually tie this in a bow. We are gonna tie this in just a simple knot. Just like that. And then we're gonna wanna tuck these in. Couple ways you can do this. You can either tuck them into the sash right here and kind of loop around, so it's like that. Or you can tuck them into the top of the datajime. I usually tuck them into the top, but you don't have to. You can wrap them around the middle if you want. But I usually just kind of tuck these into the top here. Just like that. And as you can see, this flattens out that front area so we can start working on putting our obi together. So next step is going to be our obi-ita, which is going to be this flat board I talked about. So as you can see, it's got like this kind of curve right here where it's sort of like, you notice it kind of curves down, where it's kind of wider at this side versus this side. This is the part, the wider part you want at the bottom. You would not do it like this. This is actually backwards. You want to make sure that wider end, where it's a little bit longer, is on the bottom part of this. And we're going to put this in the front, and then we're going to use the straps to secure this in the back. So just like that. Whoops. Lost my grip there. And then, if you have to get your sleeves out of the way, you can just put them over like that. They do sometimes get a little bit in the way. And you can kind of twist this around a little bit to see where the clasp is. And then we're just going to twist it back to the front like that. Make sure this is in the center. And this is what's going to give us that nice flat look for our obi, which is going to be the next step that we do. So with the obi, there's a couple of different things you can do for your yukata. There are different styles of musubi, or the knot that you do in the back for yukata. I've seen the more traditional kind of like traditional bow, or they have more like an otaiko style, and then all kinds of other traditional styles that you would do. So there's a lot of different options for tying your musubi for your yukata obi. Traditionally, you would use, if you're going to use a full-length obi, a hanhaba obi, which is like a half-length obi. They are not as wide as your fukuro obi, they are half that width. So they're a little bit thinner than your traditional fukuro obi, but that's what you would use with something like this, so a hanhaba obi. But if you're like me and you're lazy and you don't feel like tying your obi, I'm usually in a hurry. If I'm wearing yukata, it's usually because I want to be comfortable and I'm in a hurry and need to get dressed quickly. So I actually do what's called tsukuri obi, which is a pre-tied obi, and these are my absolute favorite. I know some people are like, oh, it doesn't like look as professional, but I find them to be very comfortable and very easy and perfect for if you don't know how to tie your own obi or you just don't want to, like I do. So I use a tsukuri obi, so I'll show you that a little bit. We're gonna use a red one today. So this comes in two parts, so this is really nice. We have our sash that we're going to do in the middle. This is the same width as a hanhaba obi, so it's half length, not as wide as fukuro obi. We've also got these straps that are going to help secure it in place. As well as we have our bow for the back, which makes it super easy because we're just going to tuck that in and not have to fold it ourselves. I love tsukuri obi. I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about them, but I really love them for a convenient, easy look, and they hold their shape. They have a little plastic tongue that's going to fit right into the back. So we're gonna go ahead and do this today because I really love wearing these. I got these on Amazon as well. They come in a wide range of colors and styles. I just like the traditional red and the traditional yellow to go with my blue and white yukata since I go for a more traditional look. But you can do whatever kind of colors and styles you want. These ones are made of a little bit of a thicker material, so I feel like they lay a bit flat. But you can get ones that are made of a more woven material. They're a little more prone to wrinkling, so you have to put maybe an extra stiffener in the front, but they have a less shiny look. So it just depends on preference. Well, we're gonna start with this one. So we're gonna unfold it. It's not super long. It's certainly shorter than a hanhaba obi. We're going to start with the string part on the upper end and put it right here. And then we're going to start going around as we wrap this. Keep this kind of in the middle. We're going to fix this after we get it secured, but we're going to go around. And again, if your sleeves get in the way, just pop them up. Oops. And then make sure you flatten it out in the back here. Looks good. And then as you come around, pull this string out. You don't want to get this caught in here. And same thing, we're going to hold this and then go around a second time. Get it as snug as you can, not overly snug, but as close as you can. And now we're going to tie these strings together. So just like we've been doing, tie, not too tight, tie it into a bow, and kind of pull the loops a little bit so you can get the strings kind of shortened here because we don't want them too long. And what you're going to do with all of this is you're just going to tuck it into the obi. So you're going to take this, and you're going to find the space between your obi-ira, not datsujime, obi-ira and the obi itself, and we're just going to literally tuck them in. It's that easy. And then we're going to actually turn this around because I want this in the back. But the one extra thing I do, you can just turn it around now if you want. But what I like to do to kind of make it look a little more clean and polished personally, and I learned this from one of my friends in Japan actually when I was doing yukata when I was younger. Take this fold, or the flap that's here, take the corner, fold it underneath, and kind of fold it all the way so it's almost like this, like folded into the side. This not only hides that raw edge, but it makes it look more as if it was folded as opposed to a pre-tied obi. It just makes it look a little bit cleaner. So I like to just do that extra step to make it look a little tidier. Don't worry about this. We're going to be putting the bow in the back, and this will hide this little strap. So we're going to take it, hold your obi-ira right here so it doesn't slip around, but take your thumb and your index finger and grab the obi. Make sure you have both layers. And we're just going to turn like this and keep going. Make sure you get your sleeve out of the way if you have to. Do not rip the fabric. Until we have this mostly centered in the mat. Make sure you kind of have that little flap sort of centered, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And now you have the front part of your obi done. As you can see, the obi-ira makes it nice and flat, as well as the padding that we did underneath with the towels also gives more of this like up and down silhouette, so it actually looks a lot nicer. You don't want kimono or yukata to have like curves. You want it to be more like a cylinder. So the padding helps add that, especially if you do have like it's smaller in the waist, it will end up curving out like that. Make sure you do the padding to help prevent that. So the next step is to put the bow in. So the way I like to do it is I take the strings, we're going to kind of put them over on the top because we're going to pull these forward in a bit. Make sure you have this part on the bottom. You might need some help with this step if you can't see, but if you can use a mirror, it helps. We're going to put it in the back. I'm going to try to do this the best I can without being able to see my camera very well. But we're going to slip it into the back like that. And as you can see, that covers up that white spot that we had there. So now we just have those strings hanging. We're going to take the strings, we're going to tie them in the front. So what I like to do is grab one, grab it over here, very carefully just kind of loop it and make sure it goes underneath the rest of the bow like that. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Very gently. Make sure it goes underneath, like that. So now we're going to have these two strings. We're going to take them, hold them up over the obi here so they're up at the top. And then gently go ahead and tie. Just like you did before, not too tight. And same thing as before, tie into a bow. Just like that. And then we're just going to tuck it into the rest of the obi underneath. And use your thumbs to kind of go around here to make sure it's just tucked in all the way. Because we want to try and hide as much of that string as possible. And kind of smooth out, again, any wrinkles you might have in the armpit area. And pulling down to make sure all of this is flattened as well. And there you have it. This is one of my yukata with my red pre-tied obi. And as you can see, it makes getting ready quick and easy, which is super awesome when I'm in a hurry and I just don't feel like doing anything. So I love yukata for that reason. They're quick and easy and comfortable to wear. They're very affordable. They're not as heavy as real kimono or a traditional kimono. So I do love these a lot for more casual events or when I'm just going out and I don't feel like dressing up. This is a little bit more of a casual style. So, and I love, love, love the pre-tied obi. And it makes things getting ready so much easier. So I'm a huge advocate for tsukuri obi. If you want to complete your look, this is a little bit more simple, but make sure you add some accessories to complete your look. Some of those things can include making sure to add things like kanzashi so that you can have a more fun look. I've already got a bow in the back, but just for the video here, we'll show like add hairpins, flowers, things like that. Don't forget to bring a cute little bag with you to keep all of your items in. I got this one on Amazon. I have this cute little cat keychain on there for my vending machine. But make sure you have a little bag, as well as don't forget your gaita. You will need your wooden sandals to go with your yukata. Again, you do not need to wear tabi socks with your yukata if you do not want to, but I like to just because my feet get cold. But always make sure you have your wooden sandals. You would not do zori with yukata. As well as, don't forget to bring a fan with you because you're probably gonna get warm. There's all kinds of different fans you can carry with your yukata, but I see a lot of people with the paddle fans. Got this one with my stage name on it and a little flower I painted on the back. But if you wanna make it fun, you can stick this in the back. It's a little hard to do. It's a little snug, but you get the idea. You can traditionally put this in the back a little bit. I don't want to bend this too much because this is a really cheap one, not a nice one. But you can wear a fan with your yukata as well. So that's a little bit about how to wear yukata and how easy it is. So I hope that this was a helpful video for you. If you have any comments or questions, please be sure to let me know in the link below or the description comments below. I am so tired today. But make sure to let me know and I will answer them. And I will see you guys in the next video. So take care, minasan. We'll see you soon. Arigatou gozaimashita.